So, you want to be a screenwriter, but you don't know where to start. I got your back. I've been a screenwriter in Los Angeles for over 6 years now, but before that, I was a chemical and biological engineer. Believe me when I say that, I had no idea where to even start. But know that anyone can be a screenwriter if you're willing to learn, if you're willing to think outside the box, expand your knowledge, and express yourself authentically. In this episode, I'm gonna share the story of how I became a screenwriter, what I would have done differently if I was starting out in 2024, and my secret tips for those of you who want to become screenwriters. Hi, by the way, welcome back to a Screenwriter's Secret Diary podcast. Here we talk about everything screenwriting, filmmaking, and life in general. I share things that most screenwriting and filmmaking podcasts don't share. I stand by my experiences, and I will always share the truth with you guys. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe for more content, and let's begin. 1. How did I get started? I was studying chemical and biological engineering back in where I'm from, but I've always been a screenwriter and storyteller. Since I was a kid, I would fill my diaries with additional storylines and characters for the TV shows, cartoon shows, and animated series that I was obsessed with back then. I literally created a 6th character to Winx Club before the 6th character even appeared in another season of the cartoon show. I don't know if you watched that. To this day, I don't understand how no one noticed that I was meant to be a writer. But finally, in 2017, I got fed up and I wanted to follow my dreams because I realized that we get to live this life only once. As far as we know, we don't have any other life in this body as this person that we are today. So I want to do what I want to do rather than what other people want me to do. This is very important. That's when I woke up to this fact. Then I started searching for workshops in Los Angeles because I grew up with American cinema and shows mostly. I started learning English at the age of 5. I wrote in English and Turkish all the time. I thought maybe learning in Hollywood would be a good idea. I wanted to attend workshops and take classes during that summer break in 2017. That way, I can also learn from an actual screenwriter because I had no idea what I was talking about, you know? And that's what I did. Summer of 2017, I got into an 8-week workshop program in Los Angeles. I got my student visa and everything, and I came here for the summer break. It was the best time of my life. Finally, I was genuinely happy with what I was doing. Even though I did like chemistry, I love biology, I took genetics, I took psychology classes, I loved exploring, and I loved experiments, especially chemistry experiments. They were very fun. I had so much fun writing movies and exploring the stories I come up with further and actually writing them down. I loved learning about the entertainment industry, the ins and outs of Hollywood. I learned a lot from my mentors at that time, and I wanted to stay. The last day of the workshop, they gave us this paper to apply for enrolling in that film school. We could do bachelor's or master's if we wanted to. The papers were in front of me, and I was talking to my parents on the phone. Mind you, it was in the middle of the day here, in the middle of the night over there. But they told me that I only had 1 year to finish chemical and biological engineering, so I shouldn't throw it all away, which I understand. They did the right thing. So I went back, crying my eyes out. And the last year was like torture. I just wanted it to end during that time. I kept dreaming about Los Angeles and screenwriting and finally being able to write my stories in a format that I almost like craved during my childhood because nobody told me about screenwriting, yet I was writing these visual storylines and beats and things like that, but I had no idea what it was. Now, finally, I learned everything. So during my last year, I applied for MFA in screenwriting in different colleges across the US, mostly in Los Angeles, but some in New York. To be completely honest with you, I also finished music conservatory when I was studying chemical and biological engineering. I loved songwriting as well. I wrote songs for some music producers in London and things like that. So I also applied for MFA in music production. And I let fate decide what I had to do. Do I have to be a screenwriter, or am I gonna be a music producer or a music writer? Let the fate decide. Because honestly, I had passion for both, and I still do, but fate decided on screenwriting. 2018, I moved to Los Angeles to do my MFA in screenwriting. Again, best time of my life. I was having a blast learning screenwriting, meeting like-minded people, being mentored by professionals, and writing my own shows and movies. I was made for this. And I was so glad that fate decided on screenwriting. Even though on the side I continue to write my music and I continue to compose and things like that. You know, in the future, I do want to compose my own music for my own shows. And I realized a very important thing during this time, so listen closely. Not everyone is made for screenwriting. There were so many passionate artists in my class, yet they were failing in classes, which is crazy to me. I got straight A's. I was having a blast. I was so happy, especially after studying engineering and pushing myself so hard to finish it and get done with it. MFA in screenwriting was a pure bliss for me. Don't get me wrong, it was difficult. They push you to the limit. For example, in just 1 week, you have deadlines for 3 different scripts. One is 120 pages of a feature film. The other is 50 pages of an hour-long TV pilot. And the other is a short film. And at the same time, you have pages due for another class like comic book or video game writing. It was really tough. Then you have 3 meetings outside class for a production you're helping with. It's insane. But I really loved it. I really enjoyed it. I felt alive, finally. And those people who were failing and always late to class, didn't turn in assignments, etc., they realized that screenwriting wasn't for them because they saw the reality of it, right? I don't know why, but they thought it was, most of them thought that it was gonna be easy. It was a quick way to make money. It is not. You need to be a screenwriter for years and years and years before anything happens, because I keep listening to these podcasts where finally the screenwriter makes it. And they've been trying this since they were 18 and now they're 50. So you have to be ready for that type of a thing. I don't want to break anyone's hope. I mean, for some people, it does happen fast. One of my friends did a 1-year screenwriting program and broke in, sold a show to Netflix, directed a Netflix feature film. It was just so fast. So those things also happen, but not all the time. So be ready for a long process, okay? Be patient. So those people, they either dropped out or they finished and never looked back. Literally so many international students, they moved back. They were like, yeah, we're done. And I got so shocked because so many of them were so talented. Their theses were so exciting to read. Like, they were very talented, but they never wrote scripts again and they moved back. At this point, me and another classmate of mine were the only ones left in LA doing screenwriting. So a lesson to learn from this is it's okay if you realize that screenwriting is not for you. It's okay. Maybe you want to write a book or write short stories. It's all right. Screenwriting is tough. Hollywood is one of the toughest industries to be in. It's very cutthroat and very, very unfair, so it's totally okay. But know that even if you realize this in the middle of a film school education or a workshop, you don't have to quit, because learning screenwriting will be very helpful for your other stories, for writing your other stories. Moving on from this little note, during my MFA in screenwriting, I learned so much about screenwriting and the business of Hollywood. I read almost every book out there about the entertainment industry and screenwriting. I watched a lot of classic movies and analyzed them. I kept writing, getting feedback, improving, and 2 years later, I graduated. Now, graduating with an MFA in screenwriting degree is by no means a guarantee for work. Only 2 of my friends found work right after graduation, and they were just assistants to agents or managers. It really is a lot of work to break in and start your career. And to be honest with you, even when you break in, look at the WGA writers. They keep going on a strike. Look at the actors. They're striking all the time because they get unfair work. WGA writers right now, which I'm going to do a video on this actually. Like, I found a YouTube video where these 2-3 people are calling writers whiny babies because they're whining about having to go back to bartending or Ubering. I'm sorry, but why would they have to do that? They are writers. They are meant to be full-time writers. Now they have to do bartending on the side. Come here. And literally an Emmy-winning actress was my Uber driver. Literally like 4 weeks ago or something. We connected through Instagram too, but like, look at this. An Emmy-winning actress is driving an Uber. So even breaking in is not a guarantee. You really have to keep carving your path right and left, literally by yourself. So when I graduated, I actually was the only person in my class who got contacted by 6 production companies for my thesis. I was so happy because I knew that this project was gonna get produced. Like, this was my passion project, and I knew that it was worthy of being produced and worthy of a big audience. But then COVID lockdown started, and all those production companies shut down. It was such a sad time for me. I was depressed. I did a lot of gaming. Okay, I was being depressed. I was sleeping all day and things like that. But finally, after like 3 months of depression, I decided to get up and carve my own path. I also realized no one's story of breaking in or being successful is the same. There is no formula to becoming a screenwriter. People go to film school, some don't, they make it, they don't. Like, there is no formula to make it. But there are some things you can do, and we're gonna discuss that. So then I started to market myself as a freelance screenwriter ready to be hired. I put my information out there on Fiverr, Upwork, Screenwriting Staffing, Tracking Board, all those websites, and I really kept applying to jobs every day, maybe 30 to 40 jobs every single day, whatever it is, copyright, writing, whatever it was, screenwriting mainly, but whatever it was, I was ready to do it. Assistant job, like, let's just get in there. And slowly over the years, I grew a client base because that person recommends me to someone else. They contact me, they recommend me to someone else. One of my clients recommended me to someone in jail, and they contacted me from jail. Like, that was funny, but you make clients through network. That's very, very important. So that's my screenwriting journey and how I got started in a nutshell. Now, what would I do differently if I was starting out right now? Such an insane question, by the way. Like, it's really hard to think about it because I love my journey. I do love it. The only thing that I feel bad about is that TV show thing falling apart with COVID lockdown. But when I look back, it almost feels like it was meant to be. Right now, I'm writing it as a book, and maybe it was supposed to exist as a book for now. But I think what I do differently is I would have focused on low budget movie writing way earlier. I was, and I still am, so obsessed with big sci-fi and fantasy worlds, and shooting my projects requires a lot of money that people unfortunately didn't have after COVID lockdown. Things got really bad in Hollywood. So I do wish I foresaw that. I wish I started to write more contained, one location, low budget projects. When you're first starting out, they don't want to invest so much money in your project. So most indie producers and even studios are looking for low budget from newer writers, because remember, they don't have to pay you the full fee. They can just do the lower budget WGA deal with you, get you into WGA, and make your thing. What low budget movie means is fewer locations and fewer actors. There's even a thing called contained horror, which basically means it takes place in just one location. And right now, they are in high demand. If you don't like horror, then write comedy or drama that takes place in just one location with fewer characters. I recommend watching the movie Coherence, Malcolm and Mary, and Cube. There are many others out there that are contained and low budget, but check these out and try to come up with an idea that's low budget, or try to find ways to make your idea lower budget. Like, sometimes I do this. Sometimes I have a big sci-fi idea. Then I start thinking about how can we focus on something small where this big world does exist, but it's outside the home of these two people where the main story takes place. You know what I mean? Like the outside world exists. It's almost like there's radiation out there and two people are in a bunker. Boom. You just have one location, one bunker. The end. So if you focus on low budget movie writing, you can get ahead way faster, because believe me, if I'd have done that, I would be in a different place right now. 3 tips on how to begin. Number 1 tip is educate yourself. Education is so important because screenwriting is very theoretical and methodical. There are things that you have to know about this industry and business as well. You have to learn about managers, agents, producers, the hierarchy, how things work, and everything else. You also have to be in a place where you can develop other people's ideas. Because as a screenwriter, unfortunately, you mostly make money from developing other people's ideas and writing other people's ideas. Even studios hire WGA writers to write their remakes, to write their next movie in the franchise, and their own ideas, their own low budget ideas and things like that. There are a lot of writers who didn't get their own idea made. That's very important. Even when I talk about my mentors, they don't have anything original out there. Well, one of them does, because I told a story about this big actor causing the entire career of one of my mentors. But the other 3, they worked on Batwoman, they worked on Kim Possible, they worked on X-Men. They don't have anything original out there. They have their books, but nothing made. So get ready to write for other people. I also share my vlogs every Sunday, guys. I share my process about how I develop a movie or a TV show or a short film for my clients. So I have to stay true to their vision rather than trying to force my vision. You know, that's very, very important. For educating yourself, I do recommend going to a good film school if you can afford it and if you have time. But if you can't do that, watch this video right here. Go to my profile and find this video, or I'll put it at the end of this video. There are 3 top books that you need to read as a screenwriter. There's also an extra one at the end, the 4th one. These 4 books are very educational. It's like your own screenwriting workshop at home. I also have the links of the books in the description below that video. So these next tips I'm gonna tell you are tips that no one ever tells you. Learn how to write books. No one will ever tell you that, but I'm very serious. If you wanna be produced, you have to write books, because unfortunately, Hollywood wants to make money and they only focus on money. So IP makes money. IP means things that are based on something, like books, comic books, video games, and they make like movies and TV shows based on that. So they take the existing fan base to that movie. That's guaranteed money right there, unfortunately. So there are a lot of producers who hunt down good books and good IP rather than making original screenplays. And you know what? As a screenwriter, if you wrote the book, you already have the screenplay. If someone approaches you, a producer is like, hey, let's make your book into a screenplay. I'm a screenwriter mainly. Let me show you. I already have the script. You know, it's the best thing ever. So definitely learn how to write books as well. Focus on both, especially if you don't want to get stuck in being hired by other producers to write their ideas all the time. I'm fine with both at this point because I'm a working screenwriter. I'm on my artist visa as a screenwriter. That already means I can't do anything else. I literally cannot go Uber. I literally cannot go be a waiter. Like, it's literally illegal, and I will never do that. That's one thing that pushed me to build my own business, because I was like, I have to earn my livelihood through screenwriting. There is nothing else I can do. That really helps me. Like, when you restrict yourself and look at it that way, you will find ways to make money. You will learn whatever you have to learn. Anyways, moving on to the next tip. Next is decide on your genre, which makes me very sad, but it is the truth. Producers want to package you. Agents and managers look at you like a brand. So if you're a drama comedy writer, you have to focus on perfecting that genre. And this doesn't mean that you can't write other genres. I'm mainly a sci-fi and fantasy writer. That's how I packaged myself. But I ended up selling drama, comedy, romantic comedy. I keep getting hired on different projects. Like right now I'm hired on a horror short film and adventure family comedy. So there are also producers, managers, and agents that don't really believe in genre packaging, but the big ones unfortunately do believe in that. I've heard about this writer's story. He is a sci-fi writer, but he wrote horror, and it took him 5-6 years to finally sell it. That's like mind-blowing. And it's sci-fi and horror, not like sci-fi and, I don't know, rom-com maybe? I'm not sure. Like all genres to me are, like we are writers. We are writers. We come up with ideas. Sometimes it's sci-fi, sometimes it's horror. Why can't we write it all? So if you're frustrated, I get your frustration. I'm just letting you know that you should package yourself as a genre writer, but also write other genres on the side because, you know, you want to have options and you want to write your stories no matter what. You're a storyteller. You can't just be like, oh, that's sci-fi, I'm not going to write it. Why not? But once you're at a place where you're ready to get signed by a manager or an agent, they will sign you according to what you wrote so far. Your genre plays a main role. Later when you're signed, they'll also market you as a writer of that specific genre. That's just unfortunately how it works. Next, learn how to write short films and how to make them. Don't sit around waiting for producers to make your stories. Start by making short films. That's also why I said at the beginning that film school is very, very important, because you get free labor because these students want to learn. You know, your crew members are there to learn, and we're just trying it out. So you end up making 5, 6, 7, 8 short films if you're lucky, if you get involved with other filmmakers, other students' projects. And it really helps because after school, these people usually can't find work. For example, we made a web series. Almost everyone was unpaid because they just wanted to have credit. We just wanted to have a credit, so we just made that web series with our student friends. You know, you have connections. If you want to make something at home, you can just call your friends. Literally so easy. But I'm not saying that to like disrespect people. Most of them now, most of my friends are not okay with just working for me for free. Like, there's no way I will ask them because they're now professionals. 6 years later, they're all professionals, so I will never ask them. But once you're a student and once you're a new graduate, you can do that and you can get some short films under your belt. That's really, really important because then you can also apply to film festivals, get some awards, and get these titles under your belt. I have a writer friend who literally writes short films to film at her place. She has some friends, she calls them over and they just shoot for fun. It's the best thing ever. I used to do that. I want to do that again. I have so many ideas. But the thing is, at this point, I'm pitching it to my producer network because they're looking for this type of a short film. I have it because I wrote a lot of short films. I would love to shoot it myself, but let's see. Another tip I want to tell you guys is write short stories every single week because as writers, we come up with a lot of ideas, don't we? At least I do. I have a lot of ideas every single week, but I can't do them all. If I wanna write just one of them as a short story, short film, whatever I wanna write, like I'm not even saying you have to write a script, right? However you wanna write it, but write a short story every week because slowly you will improve. You will think of different ways to tell your story visually. And my last tip is download Final Draft software. I know it's expensive. And it's very annoying that it's that expensive. And I can't even tell you, you buy it once and it's done. That's what they told me, and it was a lie because back then it was Final Draft 10, then suddenly 11, and almost the same price to upgrade, and then 12. Right now I didn't even upgrade to Final Draft 13 because they are asking $200+. Everyone I know didn't upgrade to Final Draft 13. I really do not understand why they're asking for this much money. And honestly speaking, one of my projects where I got hired to run this writer's room because I was the creator of the show. The show is right there. We had a writer's room, and producers basically paid for our subscription to Arc Studio, because collaborating on scripts in Final Draft, it sucks. Everyone talks about this. It sucks so bad, yet the industry standard is Final Draft. That's the unfortunate truth. But check out Arc Studio, check out Final Draft, because the most important thing is all the other softwares other than Final Draft and Arc Studio, when you save them as PDF, they don't have the proper format. And you can spot it right away, like, oh, they didn't write this in Final Draft. And producers don't like that. You need to write it in Final Draft. That's very important. But if you write on Arc Studio and you download the PDF, they can't tell the difference. So that's a little tip right there. But remember, Arc Studio is a subscription, yearly subscription. I think it's $90. Right now I have it for free, so that's why I'm talking. But it's better than paying $200 something to Final Draft. I don't know. Go check it out. Don't take my word for it. I look at a lot of prices every single day because I improve my, I do editing, I do this, that. So I look at a lot of software prices. So don't trust me, go check it out. And that's all the tips I got for you for today, guys. It's a big journey to become a screenwriter. It's a big commitment. There's a lot to learn, but hey, you have to learn all the time if you want to become something. Life is a learning journey. Definitely don't start this journey if you're not sure or if you're not serious about it. And definitely don't think it's gonna be easy. It's not gonna be easy, but it's okay. Nothing is easy. If everything came to us easy, it wouldn't be worth anything, right? Know that it's never too late to follow your dreams, no matter where you are in life. I studied engineering for 5 years. I went to science high school. Like, I didn't even learn much about literature, even though I was so interested in it. And I did it in my own time. It was focused in science, chemistry, physics, biology, mathematics, and geometry. And here I am, 6 years after graduating from chemical and biological engineering. I'm a screenwriter, full-time. So you have no idea where life will take you, but you can make sure to do what makes you happy. And if you have this negative voice in your head telling you that your stories are not worthy, telling you like nobody will care about your stories, that voice, is it just me? I hope not. But if you have that voice, I want to tell you that it's all a lie. Don't listen to the voice. We need you to write. We need you to express yourself. We need your personal stories. We need your genuine artistic expression, because that's what makes it worth living in this world. That's what makes it worth watching the TV shows, reading the books, and watching the films and consuming the story that you wrote. Yeah, that's just what makes it worth living. To me, stories are very important. We need authentic voices in the world, that's for sure. Thank you for joining me. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. If you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcast, please leave a 5-star review. That'll help me a lot. Also, share this episode with someone who needs to hear this. Let's spread the word. Let's build this community to support each other and be there for each other. I want to do live videos where I literally analyze you guys' scripts. That's the dream. I want to help as many people as I can to follow their dreams, because I'm an engineer turned screenwriter. I know the feeling of not living the life that you want. So thank you, and see you next time.